first I will revise all the Sandhis today in brief, and then we can proceed to the Q&A session. So if you have any doubts, you may ask in that session. So in this course, we mainly saw the Sandhis and their applications. So in Sandhis, we have three types of Sandhis: Swara Sandhi, Vyanjana Sandhi, and Visarga Sandhi. So in Swara Sandhi, there are again many types. In that, first we saw Yana Sandhi. So we'll just see the tables so that we recollect what is Yana Sandhi, etc. So in Yana Sandhi, the Purva Varna should be E or U or R or L. And if the Paravarna is Asavarna Swara, that is a dissimilar vowel. Dissimilar in the sense, if the Purva is E or E, then the Paravarna should not be E or E. It should be any other Swara. Similarly, if the Purva is U, then the Paravarna should be some other Swara. So similar to the similarly, the next rules also apply. So if this is the case, if this is the Purvarna and if these are the Paravarna letters, then we get the Adesha Ya, Ba, Ra, La, or Y, B, R, L. That is Yakara in place of E, Bakara in place of U, Ra, Repha in place of R, and Lakara in place of L. So this is Yana Sandhi. We saw many examples also. A few examples to mention are iti, api, ityapi, or madhu, madhu, odanam, madhodanam. Similarly, pitru, pitru, adeshaha, pitradeshaha. Like this, we saw many examples also. We saw the application part. So this was Yana Sandhi. Next we saw Ajadi Sandhi, wherein the Purvarna is A, I, O, Au. The Paravarna is any Swara. Then we get the Adesha Ay, Aj, Av, Av. So the examples are Hare, E, Haraye, and Tasyai, Idam, Tasya, Idam. And here we also saw one more rule, that or the another rule associated with this Sandhi rule, that is Lopa. The Yakara, Vakara in the Adesha gets deleted. So this was the rule which we saw in this Sandhi. So this is Ajadi Sandhi. So we get the Adeshas Aya, Aya, Av, Av. Next we saw Savarna Dirgha Sandhi, wherein the Purvarna is any Swara. Any Swara in the sense, not the A, I, O, Au. Those letters are excluded. So except those letters, if the Swara is present on the left hand side, and if the same Swara, that is the similar vowel, if the similar vowel is present on the right hand side, we get the Adesha Dirgha Adesha. That is, if the Purvarna is A, or A, if the Paravarna is similarly A or A, then we get the Adesha A. Here we also saw the difference between the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi and the other Sandhis. Other Sandhi in the sense, the Yana Sandhi and Ayadi Sandhi. So in Yana Sandhi and Ayadi Sandhi, the Adesha, that is, the letter replaces only the left hand side. That is, the Adesha replaces only the Purva Varna. But from Savarna Dirgha Sandhi onwards, in all other Swara Sandhis, we saw that the Adesha replaces both Purva Varna and Paravarna. That is, both Purva Varna and Paravarna is Sthani, And in place of those two letters, we get one letter as the adesha. Similarly, in the next sandhis, in the next swara sandhis also, we saw that we get the adesha in place of the purvarna and paravarna both. So this was swara sandhi, savarna dirgha sandhi. Next we saw guna sandhi, wherein we have purvarna. Just a second, I'll show it. Wherein we have purvarna is a or a. We have paravarna, any swara except a or a, and except the a, I, o, au. That is, we have e, u, r, l. If these swaras are present on the right hand side, we get the adesha a, o, r, al. That is, we get the adesha a if the paravarna is e. We get the adesha o if the paravarna is u, and so on. This was guna sandhi. So guna sandhi examples we saw, for example, deva udayah or surya udayah. It becomes suryodayah. Similarly, maha ishwarah, it becomes maheshwarah. And for r, we saw tava rikarah, tavarkarah. Similarly, tava likarah, tavalkarah. So these are the examples for guna sandhi. Next, we saw vriddhi sandhi. So in vriddhi sandhi, we saw the general rule first. That is the puravarna a, paravarna a, I, o, au, and then the adeshas which are I, au. This was the general rule. For example, if you have deva on the left hand side, on the right hand side, if you have say deva odanam or oshadhihi, then it becomes devaushadhihi. So that was the example for vriddhi sandhi. And here in this sandhi, we also saw many special rules or additional rules. I'll just share it. Just share the consolidated. So from type 2 onwards, we saw the additional or the special rules, wherein the first rule or the second rule in vriddhi sandhi which we saw was purvavarna being a, which is part of the word aksha, paravarna u, which is part of the word uhini, and the adesha is au, akshauhini is the form. Similarly, the next rule we saw that is the last letter of pra or vatsatara or kambala or vasana or dasha or rina. And on the right hand side, we have r, which is the part of rina shabda, that is the starting letter of the rina shabda. Then we get the adesha r. So example, dasharnam. Similarly, in the fourth type, we saw a of the swa shabda, and right hand side e letter, which is the starting letter of ira or irin. Then we get the adesha aikara, which is the adesha. So the example is swairam. So similarly, the next rules, if the purvavarna is a or a, and if the paravarna is ekara, which is the starting letter of eti edhate, and if there is ukara, which is the starting letter of uha, then we get the adesha I or au. That is, if you have right hand side ekara, then the adesha is aikara. If you have uha, that is the u letter on the right hand side, we get au as the adesha. Example, apayiti, apayiti, upayiti, upaidhate, and for uha, prauha, etc. So in the next rule, we saw if the Purvarna is a or a, if the Paravarna is r, then the Adesha is r, and the r, rikara, should be the starting of a dhatu. So the example which we saw was uparchati, uparichati, uparchati. That's the final form. In the next rule, we saw Purvarna being a, Paravarna r or l, which should be the starting of subdhatu. We also saw what was subdhatu. So subdhatu is nothing but a noun word converted into a dhatu. So after joining some pratyaya, the noun form gets converted into a dhatu. That is the root verb. So that is subdhatu. So if the r or l is the starting of the subdhatu, then the adesha is r and al. Next, last two rules which we saw were if you have a on the left hand side, which is the last letter of pra upasarga, and on the right hand side, if you have ekara, which is the starting of esha or asia, or if you have u of uha, udha, then we get the adesha I or au. The examples are praishyam, 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 praisham, praishyam. Similarly, prauhaha, praudhaha, etc. Next rule is if we have a or a on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, if we have rita, then we get the adesha r sukhartah. But there is one unique condition for this sandhi to occur. This sandhi only occurs when there is a tritiya tatpurusha samasa. So sukhena ritah ityarthe tatra sandhihi sukhartah iti bhavati. So this was vriddhi sandhi. The last two sandhis which we saw in swara sandhis were purva rupa and pararupa. Just a second. Where is it? Pararupa sandhi. So here, if you have upasarga which ends with a on the left hand side, and if you have dhatu on the right hand side, which has the starting letters a or o, then the adesha is a or o itself. So this is an exception for the vriddhi sandhi. So the examples for this rule is prejate, uposhati, praejate, prejate. It doesn't become praijate. So this is the pararupa sandhi, and the last sandhi which we saw in in swara sandhi is purarupa sandhi. Just a second, I will show. This is pararupa. Sorry, guna. Just give me a second. Sorry. So in Pura Rupa, we saw that if the Pura Varna is A or O, which is the ending letter of a pada, and on the right hand side, if we have A, then we get the Adesha A or O. This is an exception for the Yantavanta Adesha or the Ayadi Sandhi. So these were the Swara Sandhis which we saw. Coming to the Vyanjana Sandhis. Just a second. I'll just open it. So Vyanjana Sandhis can again be divided into 4 categories. So wherein the first category, in the first category, we have the Adesha. We have the Pura Varna and Paravarna, which can be interchanged. That is, the Pura Varna can become Paravarna, the Paravarna can become Pura Varna. That is, there is no fixed rule that so and so letter should be the Pura Varna or Paravarna. That is the first category. In the second category, we have the fixed rule of Purvarna and Paravarna. That is, so and so letter should be the Purvarna is fixed, but the Adesha occurs only in the place of Purvarna. This is the second category. In the third category, the rules of Purvarna and Paravarna is fixed. That is, the letters are fixed, but the Adesha occurs on the right hand side. That is, the Adesha occurs in place of the Paravarna. In the fourth category, we have the Agama. That is, the addition of letters. So Vyanjana Sandhis can be divided into these 4 categories. So there, in the first category, we saw 2 Sandhis. One is Chutta Sandhi, the second is Chutta Sandhi. So in Chutta Sandhi, if Sakara or the Tavarga letters, Tatha, Dadhana, if these letters come in contact with Shakara or Chavarga letters, Chavarga in the sense Cha, Cha, Jajhanya. So if these letters come in contact with each other, then we get the Adesha Shakara or Chavarga, which comes in place of the Sakara or Tavarga. So this is Chutta Sandhi. The example which we saw was Tacha. Tacha is the example. Next, Shtutva. In Shtutta Sandhi, we have Sakara Tavarga letters coming in contact with Shakara Tavarga letters. So Tavarga in the sense Tatha Dadhana. So the Adesha is Shakara Tavarga, which come in place of Puravarna, which comes in place of Sakara Tavarga letters. So the Udaharanam is Tattankanam. So in the second category, we get the Adesha in place of Purvavarna. So here we saw maybe around 4 or 5 rules. So the first rule is Jasta Sandhi, wherein we have Vargiya Vyanjana on the left hand side, except the 5th letter. We get the Adesha Jash, that is the 3rd letter of each Varga, if the Paravarna is Swara or Mridu Vyanjana. So again, here we saw later that the Paravarna is not a mandatory condition. Jasta occurs even though there are no letters on the right hand side. That is, it doesn't expect any letter to be present on the right hand side. There may be any letter on the right hand side, Jasta does occur. After that, if there is Karkasha Vyanjana, Chatta occurs. So this we saw in the later classes. So to just get the understanding of Jasta Sandhi, we saw the Paravarna being mentioned as Swara or Mridu Vyanjana. So example is Tadapi. So the uniqueness of this Sandhi is this occurs only at the end of a pada, and Paravarnaha napekshitaha. Just now we saw. Next, Charta Sandhi, nothing new. Just the first letter is the Adesha. So, and the Paravarna should be Karkasha Vyanjana. That is, Kar Varna should be on the right hand side. We get the Chartva. Say, Yat Phalam. So, we have Yad Phalam. In place of Dakara, we get the Charta, first letter as the Adesha. So, we get Yat Phalam. And this is an optional Sandhi if the Chartva is done at the end of a Pada, and if the Pada is not followed by any other letter. Say we have just Yat, then the Chartva which is occurring is optional. So if there is a Karkasha Vyanjana on the right hand side, then we have to do the Charta Sandhi. We just can't keep the Jasta form. Next Sandhi which we saw was Anunasika Sandhi, wherein the Varga Panchama letter is on the right hand side and any Vargiya Vyanjana is on the left hand side. We get the Adesha Varga Panchama, the fifth letter of the Purva Varna's Varga. So say if the Purva Varna is a Tavarga letter, then the Adesha will be Nakara. So here the Udarana is given. Tanna, that is Tadna, it becomes Tanna. Later, we saw Satta Sandhi, wherein there are predominantly two rules. One is we have Nakara on the left hand side, and we have Cha, Cha, Ta, Tha, Ta, Tha, these letters on the right hand side. Then we get the Adesha, Sakara, as well as the Purva Varna or the letter preceding the Sakara Desha. The Swara which is preceding the Sakara Desha, that will get Anuswara, or it is replaced by Sanunasika Swara. So example is Tams Tatha. Tad Tatha. We get the Sakara Desha in place of Nakara. After Sakara Desha, we get Anuswara. In Anuswara is added for the Akara, which is present just before the Sakara. So we get Tams Tatha. Otherwise, if we replace the Akara with the Sanunasika Akara, then we get Tams Tatha. So this is again Padante eva bhavati, and if there is a possibility of Chutva or Shtutva, then we have to do Shtutva or Shtutva. Next is, if the Purvarna is Makara, that is the second rule in Sattva, and if it is part of some Upasarga, and if the Paravarna is Skr, Skr in the sense it is actually Kr Dhatu, but in a particular meaning, that is Bhushana, in the meaning of Bhushana, to ordain, to Alankara, what do you say? Ornament. If that is the meaning, then we get another Sakara before Kr. So we get some Skr. So in such a case, the Makara is replaced with Sakara and we get the Anuswara or Sanunasika letter before. Also, after the Sakara Desha, that is in place of Makara, what we get Sakara Desha, that is optionally deleted. So though the two forms are shown here, there are actually four forms. That is two forms here which are shown, Sanskritam and Sanskritam. Another two forms are Samskritam. The fourth form is Sanskritam. That is, there are two Sakara before the Kri. In the, here we saw another 4 or 5 rules. So in the second category itself. So the next Sandhi is Parasavarna Sandhi. In Parasavarna, we saw two rules. One is when we have Tathadadhana on the left hand side and we have Paravarna as La, then the Adesha is either L or L. the sanunasika lakara. So if the purvarna is ta, tha, da, tha, then we get the adesha la. Actually, everything is just a vyanjana. It is t, th, d, th, and adesha is l. If the purvarna is n, that is nakara, then we get the adesha n, sanunasika lakara. So example is tallayah. Next, the another rule which we saw in Parasavarna is if the Purvavarna is a swara having anuswara, and if the Paravarna is any Vyanjana except the Ushmana letters. Ushmana letters refer to Sha, Sha, Saha. These 4 letters are Ushmana. So except these 4, if any Vyanjana is present on the right hand side, we get the Adesha, Varga Panchava Adesha. That is the 5th letter of each varga. And if the paravarna is ya or la or va, then we get the adesha nya, la, va. These are the adeshas. So, udaharanam parandhimahi, satyam parandhimahi was the shloka also from Bhagavata which was shown. So next we saw if the purvarna is makara and if the vyanjana is present on the right hand side, then we get the adesha anuswara. So anuswara sandhi is very easy. Tam sarvam. That's it. And another rule which we saw in anuswara sandhi is when we have makara or nakara within a pada, and if the right hand side, on the right hand side, if you have the letter vyanjana, that is any vyanjana except the 5th letters and the except the antastha letters, that is ya, ra, la, va. So except these letters, if we have the paravarna, any vyanjana, then we get the adesha anuswara. So yashamsi is the example. Yashan si is the split. So nakara is replaced by anuswara. In the 3rd category, we saw the adesha replacing the paravarna. So there again we saw mainly 2 sandhis. One is pura savarna and the other is chatta sandhi. So in pura savarna again we saw 2 rules. One rule, the puravarna is varga tritiya, that is 3rd letter of each varga, and the paravarna is hakara. The adesha is varga chaturtha. Example, tadhayaha, tat hayaha, or tad hayaha, tadhayaha iti bhavati. So in pura savarna, another case which we saw was utthanam, that is if the puravarna is takara, which is part of ut upasarga. If the paravarna is s, which is part of stha or stambh dhatu, then we get the adesha thakara in place of sakara. So the form is utthanam. Utthanam. Optionally, one thakara also gets deleted, so we get utthanam also. In chatta sandhi, we saw if the puravarna is varga prathama and the paravarna, if it is shakara, then we get the adesha chakara. So vakcharaihi is the sandhi occurring there. So this sandhi is optional. So we can tell vakcharaihi or vaksharaihi also. Next, in the last category of Vyanjana sandhis, we saw 2 sandhis. One is Ngamudagama, another is Tugagama. In Ngamudagama, we get the agama ng, n between ng, n and a swara, and the puravarna, that is ng, n should be having hrasva swara before them. So we should have hrasva swara followed by ng, n followed by aswara. So we get the agama ng, n between swara and the ng, n letters. So the udaharanam is gachannapi. So, and a point to note here is this Gamudagama Sandhi is Nitya. So Sa vivaksham apekshate, what we tell for Samhita, that doesn't apply here. That is, this is a Nitya Sandhi. Next, in Tugagama Sandhi, we saw two rules. In the first rule, if the Purva Varna is a Hrasvasvara, and if the Paravarna is Chakara, we get Agama Takara. That is Vrikshat Chaya. Vriksha Chaya, Vrikshat Chaya. The Takara then gets transformed to Chakara due to Chutta Sandhi. Vrikshat Chaya is the final form. So, in the other rule, we saw Dirghaswara in the Purva Varna, Paravarna Chakara, and the Agama is Takara. And here, this Sandhi or this rule is optional. So, we get Te Chinnaha or Te Chinnaha also. So, there is an optional Tugagama Sandhi occurring here. The Hrasvaswara, the first rule in Tugagama is mandatory, Nitya Sandhi. So, in the second rule in Tugagama Sandhi is optional. So, these were the Vyanjana Sandhis which we saw. So, next coming to the Visarga Sandhis. So, in Visarga Sandhis, mainly we saw the general rules and the exception rules. So, in general rules, we saw around 7 types, that is 7 rules. And in exceptions, we saw around 4 or 5 exceptions. In Visarga Sandhi, the Visarga gets transformed or modified into Jikhvamuliya or Ukara or Repa, etc. So it is called Visarga. So in the first rule in Visarga Sandhi, if the Purva Varna is A, and if you have Madhya Varna Visarga, and if the Paravarna is A or Mridu Vyanjana, then the Visarga is transformed to Ukara. So an example is Devaha Devaha Avati or Devaha Gacchati. So the Visarga is replaced by Ukara. Deva U Gacchati. Then the Guna Sandhi occurs between the A and U. So Devo Gacchati is the form. And if there is a possibility of Pura Rupa Sandhi, then Pura Rupa also occurs. If so, this was the first rule. So in Ukaradesha also we saw few other rules. We'll come to that. So if we have Puravarna as A and if we have Paravarna Swara except A, then we get deletion. That is, the Visarga is deleted. Similarly, if the Puravarna is A, if the Madhyavarna is Visarga, and if the Paravarna is any Swara or Madhuvenjana, then also the Visarga gets deleted. Similarly, if on the Puravarna we have any Swara, and on the right hand side, if we have Swara or Mridu then the Visarga gets replaced by Rebha. Ra. Similarly, if we have any Swara on the left hand side, if we have Visarga on the in the middle, and if we have Ka Kha on the right hand side, we get Jikhva Muliya. If we have Pa Pha on the right hand side, we get Upadhmaniya. If we have any Karkasha Vyanjana except Ka Kha Pa Pha, then we get Visarga Sakaradesha. So this was the general rule or general table for Visarga Sandhi. Then we saw a few exceptions also. Just a second. Okay. So the first exception was when there is Puravarna, Paravarna, Swara or Mridu Vyanjana, and if the Visarga is a part of an Abhyaya, then we don't get ukara adesha. Instead, we get the repha adesha. This was the first rule which we saw. In the second exception rule, if you have purvarna as a, and if you have paravarna swara or mridu vyanjana, and if we have the visarga part of a rikaranta shabda and sambodhana prathama, then we get repha. So in the third rule, third exception rule, if we have a on the left hand side, which is part of sa or esha, that is saha esha, if it is on the left hand side, and if we have any vyanjana on the right hand side, the visarga gets deleted. So this is an exception for the Dikhamuliya, Upadhmaniya, and all other sandhis. The second or the fourth exception which we saw was if we have any swara except on the left hand side, if you have paravarna as repha, then the visarga gets deleted and the swara which is present before the visarga is elongated. For example, if you have Ramaha Ramate, sorry, not Ramaha, say Harihi Ramate. If you have Harihi, the Ikara is followed by a Visarga and Visarga is followed by a Repha. So we get the Adesha, and that is the Lopa. The Visarga gets deleted and the Swara before the Visarga gets elongated. So we have Hari Ramate. Here we have seen Kavihi Ramate. Both are same. Kavi Ramate is the final form. So the fifth exception, which is was wherein we have a on the left hand side, we have visarga, which is part of abhyaya, and on the right hand side, if we have repha, then the visarga gets deleted and the purva varna a gets elongated. That is punaha ramate, punaramate is the final form. Next is if you have swara on the left hand side, if you have karkasha vyanjana on the right hand side, then we get an optional visarga in place of visarga. That is, if we have karkasha vyanjana, we don't get sakara desha. If we have kakha, we don't get jihva muliya. If we have papha, we don't get upadhvaniya. So we get an optional visarga. That is, in place of visarga, we can tell visarga itself. We need not do the jihva muliya, upadhvaniya, etc. When the karkasha vyanjana is followed by shashasa. Sorry, this is not option. Sorry. I got confused. This is not optional. This is nitya. This is mandatory. If the karkasha vyanjana is followed by shashasa, then visarga remains as visarga only. There is no other transformation. The next rule, one example is Ramaha Kshatriyaha, Rama Visarga Kshatriya. So there is a possibility of Jihva Muliya, but Jihva Muliya doesn't occur. We get Ramaha Kshatriyaha only. The one Vikalpa which we saw was wherein we had Swara on the left hand side, we had Shashasa on the right hand side. Then the Parinama, the Adesha is Sa itself, or else we get an optional Visarga in place of Visarga. So these are the Sandhis which we saw in Visarga. So this is an overview of all the Sandhis. Now let us just a second. Now let us open the forum for question and answer session. There are few questions in Q&A box. Mahodaya, first of all, those who would like to answer the ask the questions, kindly raise your hands. By then I will just read out the questions in the Q&A box. Mahodaya, is there a sandhi in the word Virarama? Veera Rama. No, there is no Sandhi. Have doubts in Swara Sandhi. Please ask. You can ask orally. Amita Bhargava Bhagini.
Okay. Plus
Bhagini.
E.
Ram Ram.
plus
Hari Om.
is Eera, Eran. Today you
Bhagini,
said it became I.
you are
This is
not
in
audible.
Vriddhi Sandhi. I have
Hari Om.
doubts in Vriddhi.
Yes, yes. Vriddhi Sandhi.
Yes, Vriddhi Sandhi I have doubt. That is A plus E. Like you said, exceptions are Eer and Eran. But there are other like A plus Iksha also becomes Aiksha. It's not only for
That is,
Eer and Eran.
that is different. There is another rule for that. But that is not A plus Iksha. It is in a particular
Iksha
case
past tense.
when, yes, Lang Lakara, Lung Lakara, or Rung Lakara. Only in that case, when we have A followed by Iksha, we get Aiksha.
That is Vriddhi Sandhi, not Gun Sandhi. It is Vriddhi Sandhi only.
Correct.
Another Uparchati. Uparchati. You said it is an exception to Gun Sandhi, but it is doing the work of like Gun Sandhi only, same from it becomes Ar.
So if it becomes Ar, it should become Uparchati, not Uparchati.
Uparchati. It takes the.
So Vriddhi is occurring there. Uparchati.
Uparchati. And also there is that before the, if there is visarga, we say it as sa.
Sorry?
The visarga.
I didn't get you.
Before the.
Before Sa.
There is visarga. If there is before the, if there is a visarga, so we put
Before Sa,
the,
if there is a Visarga.
before the, if there is visarga, and we say it as sa.
Correct.
That the, but which
I didn't
sandhi
get
is it?
your doubt.
Visarga sandhi.
Visarga Sandhi is occurring there. What is the doubt? I didn't get you. Say there is Ramaha Saha. We get Ramas Saha.
No, that is with
Sakaradesha
saha.
occurs.
Sa is there, but if there is Ramaha Tatha, then also we are saying
Ramaha Tatha. Visarga Sakara occurs. Yes.
Ramas Tatha.
Ramas Tatha.
Ramas Tatha. With the also we are
Karkasha
saying
Vyanjana is there, right? So we get Sakaradesha.
Sakaradesha. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other doubt, Bhagini?
I have many doubts, but I need to collect them.
Your voice is very feeble. Could you talk near to the device?
Yeah.
That is, if you are wearing any headphone, please talk to the mic.
I have doubts. If could I contact at some email address like
Yes, you can drop a mail for this email
Sanskrit
ID.
from home at vyoma.
Yes, definitely. Okay, thank you. Next, Sitaraman Subramanian.
Namo Namaha.
Namaskaraha.
In a sloka, there will be both Sandhikaranam and Sandhi Vichedanam. So in the slokas that were discussed in the class, so in the exam also it will be in that form only. You should do both Sandhikaranam as well as in a particular sloka you have to do both.
In a particular shloka, we'll mention if it is splitting the sandhi or joining the sandhi. It will be very clear. There will be no confusion. So, and mostly we'll not give whole shloka and tell you to do all the sandhis in that. That is, split all the sandhis or do all the sandhis. That will not be told. But having given a shloka, we'll mark one word or wherein there is a sandhi. We can tell you to split that sandhi or join that sandhi.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
ధన్యవాదాలు. Vishalakshi Kannan. Yes.
This I see two words is prekshamana and preshayishyati.
Preshayishyati.
This preshayishyati, does it get split to pra and ishayishyati? Is there a meaning?
No. There is a dhatu called presh only. Presh gatau is the dhatu. So that dhatu gets the form preshayati itself. Or in Latlakara, preshati.
So there's no split.
There is no split there. Yes.
And I don't know whether I heard it wrong sometime before when you gave that 200 exercise or something, all consolidated put together. Maybe I'm mistaken also. I thought that you'll be giving the answers the later stage for that.
Yes. I am working on it. It will take a little time because there are around 250 shlokas. So to provide all the answers for this, it's consuming a lot of time. But I will definitely upload.
It's okay, Mahoday. I'm just not, I mean, we don't need it like before the exam or anything. For later on also, just to recapitulate things. If that answer is there, we will know, because otherwise we'll think that we're doing it correctly. So it will be a permanent reference for us.
Upload by the exam.
Okay.
But if it is not possible, at least within another 2 weeks, I will upload it.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I want to know about this. That is. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, you want to know about?
No. Sorry. That was I clarified by myself one doubt. So,
okay.
Thank you very much. I didn't strike it off in my notes.
Okay.
Thank you. Namaste.
And before I go to the next question, I would just like to remind everyone the exam is on June 11th. That is, the exam can be attempted from June 11th, 6 a.m. IST to June 13th, 6:30 p.m. IST. So kindly take the assessment. So if you want certificate, you should take the assessment. Only if you take the assessment, you will be awarded a certificate. Even if you don't want a certificate, but still I would suggest you, or I would request you to kindly take the assessment, because it will just be a exercise for you to know the sandhis and how to apply sandhis, etc. And also we'll know where we stand. So how much we know, how much we grasped from this course, etc. So kindly attempt the assessment. It is on the it is in the coming Sunday, that is June 11th. So I hope you have all received the email also. Next question, Ambal.
Namaskaram.
Namaste.
I have several questions, but mainly they are around that vritti sandhi. And so in that one, I think what you just went over now, this consolidated, the consolidated rules. In that one, rule number 9, so that example, Sukhartha is an example for that vritti rule number 9. So, okay, I had a question about I must have looked at some other slide. and I saw Sukhena Ritaha. Is that the example? Or is that
Yes, correct.
that's the split? Is it? I see.
Yes.
So in that case, it would be Sukhenartaha.
Not Sukhenartaha. It is Sukhartaha. The Vigraha Vakya is Sukhena Ritaha. So in Samasa, the Vibhaktis are deleted and we take the Pratipadika forms. So when we have Sukhena Ritaha, we delete the Vibhaktis. That is, Sukhena becomes Sukha, Ritaha becomes Rita. So we have Sukha Rita. When we have Sukha Rita, we don't do the Guna Sandhi, is what I meant there.
Okay. So then another question I have in Vriddhi Sandhi is that rule 1 is talking about a or a plus a or I and becomes I. But then rule 5 also, I think rule 5 also does the same thing. Why are there two rules that are the same?
Very good question. So here, if you see the note, this is an exception for the Pararupa Sandhi. So after studying Pararupa, so if you see what is Pararupa Sandhi, so in Pararupa, if the Purva Varna is A, if the Paravarna is Ekara, which is part of a Dhatu, and if the Purva Varna is part of a Upasarga, then Pararupa should occur. But here Pararupa doesn't occur. Instead, we get the Vriddhi Sandhi. So this is an exception.
Yeah, that was my confusion about the relationship between these two. But I guess it depends on knowing what is the dhatu and what is upasarga, recognizing those, right? Okay. That helps that. Then another one, this is actually, it was not the question that was asked, but it was part of the shloka. And I was trying to understand, I think somewhere else you did the Sandhi. So on slide number 11, there's a shloka for Ramayana 6:101:35. I don't know how to reference for you, but in that one, it was part of the Vriddhi exercises. And it says, Chintamabhya gamachriman Shrimana Jansta, right? That Jansta, I was trying to understand, how does that sa come in there, the sakara? Do you understand my question, madam? It's on slide.
Could you tell the form again? That is the shloka number again.
Shloka number is Ramayana 6:101:35.
101
35.
101:35. Is it? Okay. 101 Nepatat Sa Mahavega.
No, this is in the slide. It's given as that, but no, I think it's not.
Sandhi.
No, this was Vriddhi Sandhi.
Vriddhi Sandhi, the general Vriddhi Sandhi or Vishesha?
One second. It was the exercises.
Exercises, is it? That is in-class exercise or?
So it was, it was after the homework. Vriddhi Sandhi Abhyasa Prashnaha.
Okay. Just a second. I'll just open it. Can you tell the shloka?
Okay, hold on. I'll try my best. Chintamabhya gamachriman najansta.
Chintamabhya gamachriman. Is it gamat?
Maheshadihi. Mahaushadihi. That's the first line.
Chintamabhyagamat. Just a second.
Chintamabhyagama Chri Mana Jansta.
Just a second. I'll just open this and.
Sorry for the trouble.
No problem. But I didn't get the doubt. What was the doubt?
The doubt is in that word, there is a John Star. I think it's with Sattva Sandhi, but I am not clear on why the sa comes there, because there's an anuswara above the nakara, and then there's sta, sakara join samyuktakshara with sakara and takara, and then dirgha a. So I'm trying to understand why is there a sa come there? Because I think I did look up the shloka. I didn't write down the proper number. So I looked it up and I thought it didn't have that break there to make it a qualified.
Okay, I'll just see it and let you know.
Okay. Otherwise, I can drop an
homework,
email.
right? Homework,
Pardon?
right?
Yes.
6. Where is it? Okay. Chintamabhyagamat ajanamsta. Oh, ajanamsta. Yes, there is sattva sandhi there.
There is
Ajanamsta
Ajana.
mahoshadhihi.
Okay. So it is the sattva sandhi. Okay. And then the other question I had, a couple of slides later, there's a Brashtamatihi Tava Eshaha, right? I think so.
Yes.
So
Savaivada bhrashtamadis tavaishate.
yeah. So why is there the sakara there again? Is that sattva sandhi also?
Where is the sakara? No, that sakara is visarga sakara desha. Brashtamatihi tava eshaha.
Oh, okay. So that is because of the sarga sandhi only.
Yes. Okay. Any other doubt?
Yeah, I have some others, but I will try to resolve them and then send the email if I need to still do that.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. There was one question in the chat box. Translation of the above words dasha in dasharanam. Dasha is dasha, 10, the number 10. So the other translation for vatsara. Vatsara is year. Year. Y-E-A-R. And krana. There is nothing like krana. Pravatsala. Kambala. Rina. Rina. I don't know what you mean by that, Anavadini. Anyhow. Next, meaning of Ira and Eden. It is a bit out of scope of this class. The Swaira or Swairan refers to one who does the actions by his own will. He is not under the influence of anyone else. Is the meaning of the word. Okay, Rina, not Krana. Okay. Rina is like, let us just think it is a loan of some kind. That's it. Let's not delve deep into it. Let's just take this. Okay. Namaskaram, Mahodaya. When was the email about the assessment date and time sent? It was sent just 1 or 2 days after the course was over. If one of you has not received the email, please check the spam or the trash. Usually it should be available in one of these. So even though if you don't find the mail, just write a mail to us. We'll send the mail to you. Not a problem. The assessment. Okay, can you please repeat the assessment window availability? Okay, I'll just brief out about the assessment in 2 or 3 minutes. So the assessment is from June 11th to June 13th. That is June 11th, 6 a.m. The assessment will be available. 6 a.m. IST. All the timings are in IST, Indian timings. So 6 a.m. of June 11th is the start time. The end time is June 13th, 6:30 p.m. So once the assessment starts, you have almost 2 days or 2.5 days. So in that window, you have to attempt the assessment. The assessment is actually only for 1 hour. 2 hours. The assessment consists of 50 MCQ questions, and the assessment is for only 2 hours. So once you start the assessment, you have to complete the assessment within 2 hours. You will not be having any more time. So kindly plan your time and plan a 2-hour slot between June 11th, 6 a.m. to June 13th, 6:30 p.m. And don't start at June 13th, 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. The 6th at 6:30 p.m. it will sharply end. If it ends and if you haven't submitted the assessment, then we won't be able to help you. So kindly finish it off within June 13th, 4:30 or 5 p.m. So these are about the assessments. We have one last question. Venkateshwaran Gopalan.
Namaskaram, sir. Originally, I remember in that announcement from Vyoma, 12th to 14th they have given. You are telling 11th to 13th.
We never mentioned 12th to 14th. Please
And
check
also,
in the last class also, we told 11th to 13th itself.
and the MCQ type of questions will not involve any writing and all that. That also was told. It will be. It is optional.
Yes. It is purely MCQ. That is just you have to select the options. That's it.
So 50 questions.
You'll not be needing any other writing or typing anything.
50 questions, 120 minutes means 2.5 minutes per question. So that's what I'm wondering. Any writing, if it is involved, this Sandhi Cheda or Sandhi Karanam.
No. There is no writing involved. You just have to choose the correct option. That's it.
Okay.
But please remember, you'll be allowed only one attempt. That is, say if you attempt now, that is attempt now in the sense, if you attempt once, and if you want to retake the assessment, you will not be allowed to retake.
Yeah,
only one attempt is allowed. So kindly plan your schedule and study properly and write the assessment. And also make sure the internet connection is proper. You're in a secluded location so that you are able to write or take the assessment in a lucid manner.
With video camera on?
No, that is not required. Video camera is not required, but you have to be in a location where you are not disturbed and where the internet connection is secure. Say if you start attempting the assessment, and in between if the connection goes for say 1 hour and the 2-hour limit is over by the time you join back again, then the assessment is over. It will be considered as over, and whatever you have attempted will only be considered. So kindly note that afterwards, if you come to us and tell network issue or we couldn't do it properly, we'll not be able to help you. So kindly make sure you have a good connection.
Okay. Thank
Dhanyawada. Any other question, Mahodaya?
you. Okay.
Any other question, Mahodaya? Venkateshwaran Mahodaya? Okay. I don't think there's any other question. Okay. So we'll end the class here. So with this, we have concluded the course. So officially, we had already concluded 2 weeks before. Just for the sake of students, we did this revision session. Hope it was fruitful. If you have any questions, any queries, kindly mail to us. We'll be replying it at the earliest as possible. I wish everyone all the best. Kindly take the assessment and do the Samskrita Pracharam. Namaskaraha. Let's end with Shanti Mantra. Swaste prajabhyah paripalayamtam nyajyena margena mahimahishah. Brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu. Lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu. Ram Ram Ram. Dhanyavadaha. Punarmilamah.